So there we go. Say goodbye to Besaid, everyone. I always quite enjoy the time that you spend at Besaid, and I always look forward to being able to return here at the end of the game. But for now, I guess this is adieu. Let's travel along. We get a random encounter, but this one is actually completely story scripted, and it's going to teach us more mechanics about the game. Things will start getting more complicated.
Hey, why don't you try out that sword I gave you?
Alright, cool. So it's just us and Wacker at the moment. We attack the dingo. We overkill it. Awesome.
No problem.
Not too shabby. You kept up with him pretty well. Might make a good guardian someday.
Or a crusader. Maybe?
A flyer. My kind of customer.
Okay, so Wacker can throw balls, right? And this makes him more suited for killing some types of enemies than others. So there you go. He got the one shot there. You'll find that the game, at least for maybe the first quarter or so, it sets up this idea of rock, paper, scissors, and different characters you meet will be able to defeat different kinds of fiends, and there's a real mix and match you have to start hitting. You need to do the right thing. So here, this next encounter will teach us that even further.
That looks like trouble.
That looks nasty, that's what I looked like.
Ha! Watch this!
Okay, so I mean, it's just a blob, right? Let's try and attack it with Titus. Ooh, only 50 damage.
Told ya, only magic can beat that thing. If you can't beat them down, you gotta use magic of an element they don't like.
Magic? Element?
Let's have our black mage show you what I mean. Lou, you're up.
All right.
Clueless, aren't you? Good thing I'm here.
Hey, Lulu. So, elements. Magic and fiends have properties called elements. There are 4 elements: fire, ice, lightning, and water. Fire and ice are opposed, as are lightning and water.
Spells of ice work well against fire fiends, and ice fiends are weak against fire magic. You follow?
I get fire and ice, but what about lightning and water?
Lightning and water are opposed, just like fire and ice. This one here is a water fiend, which means...
Can we figure it out? It's really very simple. Again, this is rock, paper, scissors 2. Lulu can kill elemental enemies, but she has to use the right magic on them. So this is a water guy. That means thunder is what does a lot of damage to them. You notice that these are the only 4 elements really in the game. There is a 5th element, and that's holy. And there are also some typeless spells that, there's magic you can cast that has no element at all. But that's really end game late stuff. Largely, you're just dealing with fire, thunder, water, and ice, right? You'll notice that they never pick like an earth element. Earth is, or was traditionally in Final Fantasy, like one of the core elements, usually, right? The interesting thing about Final Fantasy is it wasn't for a long time that water became a normal kind of black magic spell, and Final Fantasy X really embraced water. So Final Fantasy 7, 8, 9, these games did have water, but it was sort of a higher level, weirder spell you'd get later, but water is like fully into the game here. So we've got fire, thunder, water, and ice, and this is a water guy we're fighting, so we'll cast thunder on it. The water flan. Now, there's a bunch of extra dialogue you can get in that encounter for messing up. You get the wrong element, and Lulu says, "Ooh, my bad." If we cast a water spell on that flan, we would have healed it, and then Wacker would have said, "Whoa, why are you helping it out?" kind of thing. So yeah, now maybe this sort of explains some stuff to you. What if we had an encounter where we had a bird, we had a dingo, and we had a flan? You'd have to make sure each character attacks the right things and with the right skills.
Take your time.
Let's get going, man.
We're gonna wait.
Huh?
Are you ready?
What's going on?
Now, Lulu's sort of been quite cold so far, but what you just saw there, she was actually being remarkably compassionate. But yeah, kind of weird. Here we go. So this is the bit with the statue.
Chapu didn't pray that day. Said he'd miss his boat.
The day that he left to join the Crusaders and died. Interesting. So now we get a really cool decision. I love this bit, right? They've set up that everyone's doing this prayer, okay? To us, the prayer is nothing. We really have seen no meaning in it. We know sort of its origins. Maybe 1,000 years ago people did it. Now it's just been warped. So what do you do here? Do you just watch? Do you do like the asshole atheist thing and just be like, whatever, you know, this isn't important? Or do we maybe respect their feelings and look at the characters as well? Wakka's praying, Yuna's praying. She's very pious. She's very holy. You know, she's a summoner. Lulu isn't. Lulu's just kind of stood there. Maybe she doesn't see the point in it. So what do you guys do? What do you pick here? And I love that they set up that it's kind of this weird corrupted thing. Personally, I would pray. I would, you know, just respect. You know, it would just seem horrible not to pray. There you go, Wakka. I mean, I like Wakka. I don't want to, you know, upset him.
That should do it.
But yeah, if we hadn't got that mini cutscene earlier that I deliberately showed you guys, it would have played that first. It would have said, oh, this statue is for people leaving. And then it would have said, Chapu didn't pray that day. Kind of sad. And whenever we press X now, we can actually choose to pray just for ourselves. Pretty cool. Hit the save sphere. And this music in the background, okay. I was actually using some of this Besaid Island songs last summer when we were doing daily deal stuff. They remastered it and added a very sweet violin to it. Now, I quite like the sweetness of that violin. A lot of other people say that it sort of destroys the original tone of this track. But personally, I just think that's nostalgia getting in the way. I think they've really, really improved this song. And look at this area, it's absolutely beautiful. Just the scenes here, even today, I think a lot of it looks absolutely brilliant. Here's another one of these weird markers. Remember right at the start, back at Barge, or the ruined temple we found? Something is written here. It says Kilika, something, Beaconel, something, something. We can't really read it very well. That'll be something to come back to at the end of the game. Oh dear. Oh shit. So it's the blue guy. Brilliant. It says boss question mark, question mark, question mark. He seems angry with us. All we can really do is attack here. You can potion yourself. It's actually specifically worked out though that you could just relentlessly attack this dude and you're guaranteed to not die. Don't worry, the battle will end soon enough. And you can evade his attacks too every now and then, which just means you're going to be nice and safe. But yeah, if you remember earlier, so here he's using an ability called Jump. I've got a lot of cool stuff to talk to you guys about with that skill in just a second. But yeah, remember I told you guys that I never used a potion for ages, even though I'm in yellow health on my test file. This is just another fight. A lot of these fights you can just sort of power through. He's using Jump again. A little bit worried. We've only got 100 health left. We got a crit there, and there you go. It's over.
That's enough.
And he just walks off.
What's with that guy?
Kimahri Ronso, of the Ronso tribe. He's learned the Fiend's way of fighting.
That's not what I meant.
He's another Yuna's guardians.
Huh?
Sometimes we don't understand him either. Kimahri doesn't talk much anyway. But he has protected me since I was a child.
Kimahri's a very interesting character there. So, look, we actually got a new weapon here, the Hunter's Sword, which I guess we can try and equip. Kimahri's a very interesting character. Hold on, let me... So, we've now got a bunch of swords, right? We've got the original sword that Auron gave us at the start of the game, the Longsword. A gift from your father, right? A gift from Jecht. One thing that's really cool about this Longsword is if you were going for like a 100% run of Final Fantasy X, this Longsword has like no abilities on it or any slots at all. It actually makes it a completely unique weapon in the game. And if you were going for 100% file, this would be the kind of item you'd say, I cannot sell. Don't get rid of it because it's one of a kind and you can lose it. So anyway, you start with the Longsword. Here's the Brotherhood. This is the sword that Wakka gave to Chapu, but then Chapu never used, so he's given it to us, and we look like Chapu. Kind of weird, actually, they gave it to us. You notice it's got strength plus 5% on it, and then a bunch of, like, empty-looking slots. Later on in the story, I will do, this will, like, get upgraded, and I'll talk to you guys about when that happened. And we just got a new one as well called the Hunter's Sword, which has the ability Sensor on it. Sensor means that when we choose to attack stuff, we see their health, we see their weaknesses, we get information about them. It's really, really cool. I'm not going to equip that for now. Also, in the Cloister of Trials earlier, we got a weapon for Yuna. Staff that she comes with by default doesn't have anything. Instead, we're going to put on this Rod of Wisdom. This boosts her magic power by 8% and gives her sensor. I will be honest, on my test file, I ended up using this weapon throughout pretty much the entire game on Yuna. It's really strong. Just that ability to always have sensor to reliably know you can put Yuna in a battle and you'll be able to see everything you need about enemies is awesome. And yeah, I just ended up having it. That won't necessarily happen through the LP. But yeah, I'll just throw it out there. Wakka's got no armor on at all, and he's got an official Blitzball as a weapon. But yeah. So anyway, that's what's going on there. But Kimahri, Lulu just called him a member of the Ronso tribe. Obviously, he is not a human. The guy is a Ronso. It's another race, another intelligent race on Spearin. And funny enough, Kimahri is not a very big Ronso either. He's a really small Ronso, and you might have noticed he has a horn on his head that's actually been snapped in two. And we won't know why his horn has been snapped in two, not for a very long time. But, you know, it's something about him. He's protected Yuna since she was a child, and I guess he doesn't trust us. Doesn't like the look of us. I mean, who would? We are sort of just a random dude wearing weird stuff, breaking the teachings of Yevon just randomly as we wander around. And supposedly got close to sin, but yeah. He's just got Yuna's interests at heart.
A flyer! That's your department, right?
True. But, why don't we let our summoner show us what she's made of?
Switching members during battle. You can press L1 during a battle to switch in a character not currently being used. Just switch them in and they're ready to go. So we can't do anything here. L1, there you go. You can see Yuna is in the back line. So we will meet many characters throughout our adventure. Only 3 can be battling at once. If all 3 people on the field die at once, it's game over. Even if you've got people in reserve, so Yuna is currently in reserve, even if they're fully healthy in reserve, once your main 3 die, that's it. It's game over. So you've got to be very careful about who you swap in and when. But yeah, as I said, it's basically rock, paper, scissors. Who's fighting who, just for the sort of the start of the game where they're weaning you into things.
Your first real battle. Let's see some style.
Show us what your training has taught you, Yuna.
Okay.
And so if you ever come across a really big monster in this game, you might want to summon something. Summoning Aeons. Use the summon command to have Yuna call an Aeon to aid her in battle. Only Yuna can summon Aeons. Use it when you need it to help against tough opponents. When Aeons take damage, their HP decreases. Should the HP reach 0, they will leave the battle and become unavailable for a time. Aeons recover HP at save spheres. They can also recover HP just naturally from fighting. But yeah, so we will summon Valifor, our first Aeon, our current Aeon. And we get this very cool animation as it plays. Aeons are really interesting. Number 1, they're overpowered as all hell. Really overpowered. You can go through this game skipping most stuff, not being very attentive to anything, but by summoning Aeons is these massive meat shields that can overdrive on their own, do all this crazy damage. You can get through most encounters. And there's also a lot of different ways to train Aeons up. So here you'll see Valifor actually can cast black magic just like Lulu can, which already makes him very versatile, or her very versatile. And also Valifor has got a special attack. All Aeons have a regular attack and a special attack. The special attack for Valifor, as you can read it at the top, it says it delays enemies' turns. So right now on the turn window in the top right, you'll see it's our turn, then it's the monsters, then it's our turn, then it's the monsters. If we choose Sonic Wings though, it drops the monsters' turn back down a notch. So that means we get 2 turns instead of 1 because we use delay knocking him back down. So there you go, now we get another turn. This time, however, if we try it again, we can't delay it enough to push its turn all the way back. We can just, you know, knock its priority back a bit. You'll see it slides from the leftmost to the right. And that means if we did 2 Sonic Wings in a row, it wouldn't really be worth it. Instead, we may as well just attack. Now, the thing we're fighting is called a Garuda. This is a type of fiend called... these fiends are called rocks, okay? So there you go. Did he just try and delay us, I think? It's kind of interesting. We can use black magic on this thing as well. I don't really know what its weakness is. I think its weakness might be fire, so we'll try that. Not all enemies have weaknesses, for what it's worth, but yeah. But yeah, as you can see, as we fight, our overdrive bar is slowly filling. But yeah, this enemy is called a rock, and in the sequel to this game, Final Fantasy X-2, there's actually a certain type of ability all rocks used when you oversoul them. So to oversoul an enemy, this is really information you guys don't need to know. But to oversoul an enemy is when you kill lots of them, they end up coming back bigger and stronger. And rocks use this ability called Chicken Wing, which is really kind of funny. But yeah, they use that an awful lot, and that's sort of what combines them all together. But yeah. So anyway, this guy's attacking us a lot. Our overdrive is almost completely full. As long as we don't kill him with this attack, we might be able to see it in action here. And there you go. So yeah, he's using Sonic Boom on us. And but Aeons are immune to most status effects, which means we're not getting delayed. Right, so now we have our overdrive, and we have 2 overdrives because we did the thing with the dog. So what I would, Energy Blast is the new one we unlocked, and happens to be one of the most powerful abilities in the game, honestly. I'll talk about why soon enough, but first we'll just do Energy Ray, okay? This is the default overdrive of Valifor. The only difference between them is their base damage. Energy Blast, basically, it's just really powerful because it has incredibly high base damage on it. And compared to other abilities with really high base damage, this one will never miss. It doesn't have a gamble element to it. And so through most of the game, it's one of the most powerful things you can hit enemies with. Until there's limits, which we'll get to eventually. I'm going to be saying that a lot because there's a lot of stuff I can't just explain everything because we'll just be sat here talking about the game for 3 hours without actually playing it. Anyway, so we sort of learned most of the stuff now. Here's an example of another... Oh, really? Another Garuda?
Another one of those. No problem. Leave this one to me, huh? Say goodnight, birdie.
Ah, yes. So, now the game will show us skills. Remember this Dark Attack ability? Inflicts darkness on an enemy for 3 turns. If you read the help tooltip, currently I'm scrolling at the top, it says, dodging its attacks is easier after inflicting darkness. So that's what Whacker can do. Whacker will not only be able to hit flying enemies and very evasive enemies with his ball, but also he can inflict lots of different status effects on enemies. The first ability he ever gets is Dark Attack. And this means the enemies who are inflicted with it are going to miss an awful lot. So now that black smoke is over him, and we can start going ham on him, basically. We also get full control of our party now. The game stopped restricting the kind of things we can do. So you go, Whacker effortlessly dodges out of the way. Yuna here, she doesn't have too much to do. We could maybe get her to summon. Yuna's really a very weak physical attacker. If we make her attack the Garuda, only 30 damage, right? It's not very much at all. Yuna is more of a support character. She will be able to heal you, she'll be able to cure you of status effects, and she'll be able to summon stuff. What that means is she plays a critical role during a lot of big boss fights in the game, but for a lot of trash enemies, it can be hard to have Yuna do things, so often you might want to swap her out. So now we've got Tidus. And that kind of fits in the story with the story, right? I mean, she's not really meant to be attacking, it's her guardians that are meant to be killing things. The only twist to that, though, is if you want to train Yuna up, get her stronger, which you're absolutely going to want to do, then she needs to be able to participate in these battles. So what I will often do is put Yuna in, and even though everyone's on 100% health, no one needs any support, I don't want to summon an Aeon because it will take ages to summon the damn thing. What I'll just do is have her skip her turn, or have her defend. What that does is it allows her to qualify for experience, and then you can just swap her back out and kill the stuff. So there, Whacker got some armor, finally. He never had any armor before, but he got a bright arm guard there. And that gives him Dark Ward. Darkness, the status effect now, that means if anyone tries to inflict Whacker with darkness, then he has a chance to resist it because of his new armor. I will say the armors in the game and the weapons in the game have got really cool auto abilities on them. The game won't ramp us into those for a while. So there we go. This is a perfect example of rock, paper, scissors. What have we got? We've got a condor, flying enemy. If Tidus tries to attack it, it will evade, or usually would evade. There, we got very lucky. Here we've got a dingo. If Whacker tried to attack this, he shouldn't have the strength to kill it. There you go.
It'll take more than one shot to do the job.
Why don't you let the boy handle that one?
Wow, call us the boy, sure. And Lulu, of course, has then got the flan, and she needs to make sure she gets the right thing. So you can see, I could now just attack the dingo with Tidus and end the fight, but Yuna wouldn't get any experience, so I'm just going to quickly swap her in, make her skip the turn, defend herself, then bring Tidus in. You see how you can swap people around like this? And we end the fight with everyone getting experience. Now, on my test file, I made sure that every encounter I did, all my characters got experience. And because I knew the mechanics of the game, I actually found myself being rather overpowered. A lot of the difficult boss fights, all of the things I was really nostalgic about that I remembered being real challenges, were not challenges to me at all on my test file. And that I actually thought was a huge, huge shame. So this time when I'm playing the game for the LP, I'm not going to be doing that. Not very much. I might just here at the start. But very shortly, I will not be making much. In fact, no, let's screw it. Yuna isn't going to get experience for this fight. I'm just going to kill this stuff straight away. And what this should hopefully mean is things are a little bit tougher for me.
Need a good jolt?
And as a result, you guys will see a lot more mechanics. Like, what I found was on my test file, all these bosses had cool abilities and set rotations and stuff, but it didn't matter because I was just blowing them up instantly. I don't want that to happen here. I want to A, be able to show you guys the stuff bosses do, and B, how you can overcome all that stuff without just, you know, brute forcing the poop out of everything. So anyway, there we go. I did delay coming to this screen just for a second there so we could get another encounter. And that's it. You might recognize where we are now. This is the ruin that I talked about before, that in the sequel becomes a dungeon. Over here on the right, this is where Wakka pushed us in the water. We can walk back to the screen, but Wakka's not going to throw us in anymore. Obviously, we've got other stuff we want to do. We want to go on the boat, right? We want to get to Luca. So there really is no way to jump back in that water. And doesn't it look tempting, right? Now that it's locked off, you can never go there again. It feels like, I don't know, we're missing out somehow. Let's go back. Back onto the beach and say farewell to Besaid, I suppose. Now remember, these characters have lived on Besaid for a long time. Yuna's lived on Besaid for 10 years. That's what they said earlier, that she came here about 10 years ago. And now finally she's leaving. So this is... No, it's a bit of a sad moment. I don't know as a person how good I am with goodbyes, you know. How easy it would be to just get up and leave, you know. But yeah. Obviously, they changed the music here to something a little bit sadder. I believe this is Yuna's theme. I never told you guys, but at the start of the game when Zaynar was talking over the radio, that weird like commentator guy, the music that was playing was Tidus's theme. We can't speak to any of our characters here. But yeah, this is kind of sad, you know. Let's speak to some of the villagers, saying goodbye to the summoner. I knew this time would come someday. I knew. Please watch over Lady Yuna. Here, have this. You may have a use for it. Obtained 3 Phoenix Downs. Phoenix Downs are those items that resurrect people if they get knocked out. For the record, I never had a KO for ages on my test file. Lady Yuna, don't forget me. I'll be good while you're gone, I promise. Here, take this. And now they're just running ahead. They gave us a remedy. Remedies cure all status ailments. I actually think they're really overpowered. But hey, there you go. There's a monk here. Nobody wants to talk right now because they're all moving. So we'll just let them go. There you go, Yuna boards the boat. Very sad. If we hadn't picked up that chest earlier on the beach, then this would have been our opportunity to do it. They're really leaving. Here, a farewell gift from all the village. 400 gil, thank you. I won't cry. I won't cry, yeah? Sure. May Yevon's blessings be with our summoner on her pilgrimage. Here, a gift from the temple to sanctify her departure. We get a Seeker's Ring, so that's actually equipment for Yuna. So we can now replace her crappy ring with a Seeker's Ring. You see how just by talking to people, we're getting so much more geared up than maybe some other guys would be? I knew this time would come someday. Oh, we already spoke to you. Oh, there are so many things I wanted to tell her, but seeing her there smiling, I just can't say them. Now that line, I don't know, maybe some of you guys who know this story very intimately, that will resonate with you somehow. That's really cool. I hope I remember later on to talk about this dude. Hey you, the sea's crawling with fiends, so give this to Yuna, okay? The ether, sure. It's kind of fitting that he wants to give that to Yuna as well, because she's a spellcaster, so she runs out of mana quickly. I understand why some people didn't come down here. It's hard to say goodbye. And yeah, indeed, if you go to the village, you can speak to a lot of the people, and they say, oh, I can't bring myself to go down and say goodbye. I'm going to stay up here at the village. And, you know, these are villagers, too. They're not running around the village right now. It's really awesome. Lady Yuna, don't forget me. We'll miss you, Lady Yuna. Come back soon, yeah? Okay, where are you going on that big boat, he says. Well, hopefully to Luca at some point.
Goodbye.
Alright, very cool. So, we are on the boat. Bye-bye, Besaid. We're on our way to a place called Kilika. Kilika is just like a little middle spot before we get to Luca. So we don't have to worry about that.
Boo!
This guy looking through his binoculars. But apparently we just decide to bully and try and wrestle from him. Which is quite rude. And now we check out Lulu quite blatantly. I mean, what is this? It hovers on her boobs and everything. And then she looks. I love that. That's such a smooth move. If you're checking like a person out and they look your way, you just keep carrying your gaze on in that direction and it looks totally like you're not checking them out. Except it does. And it's really obvious. So Yuna looks at us and we just drop them straight away. It's kind of ridiculous. So before we do anything here, I'd just like to point something out to you guys. When we left Besaid earlier, it added a map to our inventory. This map right here. You can buy maps, you can sell maps. Really, you only ever need one, and it gives it to you automatically. Displays the world map. This thing is really interesting, really cool, and one of my favorite things to look at in terms of lore with Final Fantasy X. There's a lot of hidden information on this map, end game stuff that you would only know about from looking at the map. And as I've told you guys before, you can translate text in this game into English, right? There are actually 3 different languages in Final Fantasy X. There is Albed, we all know about that, we've seen how that works, right? There is something called Spearin Script. The world is called Speira, and that's what we're looking at right now. And Spearin Script is sort of the most common wording that you see all around. It actually resembles English quite closely, though it still takes a job to translate it. And there's a third written language called Yevon, right? Yevon Script. Yevon Script is written vertically, and that's what you can see on this map. This is a traditional Yevon map of the world. And so all this stuff you see here is actually translatable, okay? Right at the top, remember that person said Zanarkand is a place in the very north of the continent? Way up in the top, this text you see there does say Zanarkand. And much of this writing all has interesting secrets to unfold. Some of it as well was only translatable once the HD version of the game came out, because before it was too low resolution to read, even though the information was there. But for example, the stamps in the bottom left, people have wanted to be able to translate for a while. There's also some other really interesting things you can see here. Number one, you can see Zanarkand's at the very north of the world. We're at the very south of the world. I mean, geez, we're ages away.